So, welcome back to a video on Gearsaw Studios, and today I'm going to show you how to build a giant player statue so that way you can immortalize anyone you really want, to be honest. So, with that, onto the tutorial. Before we do anything pertaining to the palette, we need to understand how a player statue works. And we can see two player statues on the Title Update 69 world for Legacy Console Edition, which should not be obtainable unless you download it online. And we can see there are two player statues, one for Alex and one for Steve. And, they're pretty simple. Of course, we're going to make it a bit more detailed than this, but from what we can see, they're pretty simple. All you have to do is figure out how many pixels are on your skin. So, I mean, it's universal for everyone, but you have to count your pixels, 8 by 8 heads, and whatnot. And you just build a plain statue. There's also angles on them, and angles are a little bit confusing. I'm not going to be covering most of angles, but I'm going to be covering 45-degree ones. So, not terribly complicated. With a little bit of knowledge on this subject, it's now time to start building it. Although it seems like, that's very little info to go off of. It's really not that hard to make the shape, it's literally just a player. So just count the pixels. You can always open up the skin customizer or Minecraft launcher depending on what version you play, and count the pixels on Steve, because Steve only uses one layer, so it will always be accurate. And I created a little platform here, pretty simple. No tutorial or explanation needed on that part, or at least right now, unless you guys really like platforms. And yeah, you just build the entire thing out of stone, so that way we get a general idea of what we're doing. So I got almost the entire statue done with just a basic shape model, and you can tell it's a player. These two planks here are just to differentiate the legs to the torso, but the arm already does that. So if you have trouble differentiating, just go to the arm, and yeah, that's what divides them. And now for a little bit of a lesson on how do you do diagonal arms. And although it's not going to be perfect because, arms are kind of disconnected from your body in this game, Minecraft weirdness. You want to start with just a nice 4x4 cube right here to just be a joint. So, yeah, just build that up. And then you want to go one down, fill that in, and then go up 3 once you reach the corner, and repeat that until the length is 12. So, counting by this, make sure it goes to 12, which should end up right about the waist. Well, I might not necessarily be the best at building an arm at an angle. Instead of having it be a complete box here, you want it to be a diagonal, and it should be about 8 blocks. So, sorry about the inconvenience, but hey, it's an arm, and of course, you're trying to model something that can move at pretty much any angle using only blocks. So, there's only a certain point where you can get. And now you actually want to develop your palette. I recommend not trying to do every single little pixel color. Like, say, my skin, auto toner. Yeah, you do not want a ton of different grays. Instead, you just want one gray. Of course, I doubt any of you are going to be building my skin, considering most of you probably don't even understand what's going on with the helmet. But yeah, if you're trying to build Steve, don't just grab a cajillion different blues for the shirt. Instead, just grab one or two. With our statue in place, it's time for our palette. And I'm going to be just turning this statue into Steve, the default skin. And we can see I have a lot of things here. Forgot to place that one. And we're going to have white concrete for the eyes, white blue for the shirt, blue for the pants, and some blue terracotta for the little just darker parts of the pants. We're going to be using white terracotta for the skin, although that's better suited for Alex. There really just isn't a good block for Steve's skin, so I'm just going to be using white terracotta. Then we are going to be using brown concrete or terracotta. Being honest, I actually can't remember. So terracotta. And we're also going to be using light gray concrete. So all that. And yeah, you just want to make a pixel by pixel recreation by frequently looking back to your source material. And you don't have to do the inside unless you're actually decorating or living inside the statue. No point in doing the inside. So just build the statue as is. And for this, pretend it's a flat surface and each layer, it's just self-explanatory. So as you're building this, well, it's not as simple as I once thought. Sometimes certain parts of the skin will be one color on one side, but different on the other. As in, this side is, good, but this side should really be brown terracotta. And honestly, it's up to you for each thing. There's no specific rule for it, but, you have to make compromises unless you build your cubes kind of weirdly, where instead of you have just, a cube like this, you build your cubes like this, you're always going to have this issue, unless you build your cubes like this, which I do not recommend. So, just case by case basis, and you decide what looks better, depending on what color. And of course, there can even be three-way intersections of colors, and that can be very tough. So, just decide on a base by base cases. With a little bit of just paint by number, we've created just a player statue. It's incredibly simple, and everyone can recognize that's Steve from Minecraft. And you can do this with just about any skin. You can do it for Technoblade because I have a feeling that's what a large majority of you came for. You can do other Minecraft people. You can try doing me. I would not recommend that. Or you could just do a mob even. You can do a zombie. You just angle the arms differently. I have a separate tutorial for a creeper. A little low effort though. And I would not recommend a skeleton, but you could do a skeleton using this model technically by just trimming down the shape. So with that, it's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, remember, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. So with that, take care, have a nice day. Gearsaw out.